Oh, thank you. The meeting is being recorded. Okay. I'm going to get that screen out of there. So with that, it's once again important to talk about these new protocols that probably a lot of you have had experience practicing this past year. And we're going to talk about all sorts of things, including dress and appearance and decorum and demeanor and how to turn your camera on and what happens if the sound glitches and what to wear and what to sing. The things that have always been in place still are. So I'm going to turn over to my colleague, Susan Williams, to talk about the first thing is a first obvious question, whether it's live or on recording, what are you going to sing?
Great. So hi, everyone. Obviously, you want to present yourself well, right? So you want to pick the selections that show you off the best, right? I would recommend keeping a spreadsheet for the schools that you are doing. Put each school in your column and have what each school's requirements are so that you have everything laid out. And then you can see what overlaps that I can utilize at each of these institutions and what might I need to add here and there or take away so that everything's ready to go. And then you have your audition dates so that you know, okay, I've got to get this memorized by X date and all of that. So then it's important to be in consultation with your teacher, obviously. And if you don't have a regular teacher, someone that you trust that can help you showcase what you do the best at your appropriate level. So I would much rather hear someone do something I've heard 100 times and do it really well than do something obscure that's too far advanced for that singer at that time, and then they don't do as well. So you want to showcase yourself to the best of your ability. So next is variety. So we at Alabama require 3 selections, and we say that we want 1 in English, 1 in a foreign language, and then the third sort of that wild card area. So if you've had a lot of languages, if you're auditioning primarily classical music, you might do something in French, something in German, something in an Italian, some combination of that, and then 1 English song. A lot of times the English selection is either a musical theater piece or a spiritual or a religious piece or something like that. And that's perfectly fine, or a folk song. Any of those types of things work well. And yeah, and you might want to just so that you know a little about what an experience is like. You're here at Classical Singer, so you're getting a good footing on this already, and probably a lot of you have done some things this past year that have given you a lot of information already. But we let the student pick what they want to start with. So that gives you the chance to say, okay, I'm coming in, I'm going to start with what I feel the most confident about, and so that you get to that piece that you can sing at 8 in the morning, no problem. That's what you're going to present first. And then oftentimes we will select the second piece. So, and sometimes we don't hear everything. So just know that it's not a reflection on you and not, to negate your hours of preparation and all of that. It's just a time thing that we want to hear. We'll usually pick something contrasting if we know your selections for the second piece, and then let you finish that way. So you want a variety of, something maybe more ballad, legato type of selection, then maybe something a little more upbeat, just to show us a variety in either style or musicality. So, and there again, what you do well. Am I forgetting anything, Dr. Hotelling?
No, I think that's great so far. We're talking about a lot of different things here really quickly. First of all, when we're talking about school auditions, if you're anybody, I don't know if there's any high school students on here that are looking to audition for college. Obviously, those repertoire notions are a little different. The average 18-year-old may or may not have an aria. I know arias are being sung by younger and younger artists, and Nats recently allowed freshmen in college to sing arias. But choosing your repertoire wisely, whether you're in high school looking to get into an undergraduate program, or whether you're currently in college looking to audition for graduate school, choosing repertoire, and then we're going to talk about young artists. So there's 3 different animals going on here: auditions for undergraduate programs, auditions for graduate schools, and auditions for young artist programs. The expectations are all slightly different, not in demeanor or appearance or professionalism, but certainly in repertoire. For graduate students, again, it's variety, but you might want to be adventurous. We are loving to hear maybe a zarzuela piece, lots of graduate programs and young artist programs, because if you're auditioning for graduate school, you might still already be ready to audition for young artist programs, are looking for a contemporary aria in English written in the last 10 years. So that wipes out Baby Doe and Benjamin Britten. Those are beautiful pieces, and don't put them away if you sing them well. But consider in your repertoire having something by Tom Tipulo or Jake Hagee or Michael Chang, something that's written and performed in the last 10 years will really set you apart. And of course, auditioning for graduate school, we do expect more language virtuosity. An 18-year-old may not have the perfect German piece, but if you're looking to get into the graduate school of your dreams and get funded, because it is a business, you don't want to just get in. You want to get in with money. You want to get that assistantship. You want to get those big dollars. So make wise choices on how you're presenting yourself vocally, musically. Don't sing a new piece. And as Dr. Williams said, by all means, partner with your teacher. Hopefully, I still have a teacher. And if you don't have a teacher, if you're between teachers, hopefully you'll have a coach, a mentor, somebody who really knows your singing, and you can coach and prepare this repertoire, and they can offer ideas as well. So there's just ideas and suggestions and guideposts for how to choose the repertoire, regardless of what level you're auditioning for. Undergraduate school, graduate school, a tuition-based summer program, or some of you on this call might be ready to be auditioning for the summer programs where you're going to get paid. So, but singing the right repertoire and putting your best vocal talent first and forward, that's really important. So let's talk about the video. Now you know what you're going to sing. How are you going to make these things? No one expects you to go broke. You don't have to own a gigantic camera. You don't have to build a studio in your backyard. We're all used to it now. Some of the best audition videos I've seen have been made with a really good iPhone or an iPad or a computer. You don't have to have incredible equipment. More than likely, you want to invest, if you do invest in some technology, a good microphone. But you don't have to go broke. Those blue things, and I'm not a technical expert, but I have decent equipment. If I wanted to record myself and make a good video, I have a good microphone, and I would just plug it into my laptop. Even a good microphone can plug into your iPhone or your iPad. So now you know the equipment. Find a place that's good. Please don't make your recordings, your professional audition recordings, in your bedroom. Beg, borrow, and steal some other place. And if you do have to do it in your bedroom for some reason, make the bed. Make sure the bed is made. You'd be surprised what we see. But maybe go to your living room. Maybe stand in front of your mantle. I wouldn't choose your kitchen, and I wouldn't choose your bathroom, regardless of the acoustics that you might find with all the porcelain. But maybe use your church. Now that schools are starting to open up, there might be a concert hall or a recital hall in your school that you can slip into, right? So the other thing, a year ago, everyone was using recorded accompaniments, right? Accompanist, or getting them on YouTube. People made I wish I had taken stock in accompanist a year and a half ago. I'd be really rich now, because they've done very, very well. But there's almost everything you can find on YouTube or accompanist, or lots of our students used some of our pianists, and hey, give them $20 to record the accompaniment track. I think that's still going to be acceptable. That's still going to be the norm. But I think what we'll also see is people working with a live pianist. So you want to find a space with a grand piano. I think we're going to return to that. But I don't think any graduate school or young artist program in the coming year is going to penalize you for still performing with a recorded track. That's my hunch. That's my hope. That's my guess. Maybe by the spring, the expectations when there's such a thing as herd immunity, or when we're really beyond this and everybody has a new comfort level with being together, maybe then the expectations will be, we want to go back to where the good old-fashioned way, where you're singing with a live pianist. We all hope for that, because it's so much easier to sing with a live pianist than it is to study how to line up with a track, particularly with bel canto repertoire or things with retards and fermatas or tricky entrances. But for now, for instance, tonight, when we get to our singing, working with a recorded track is fine. We don't have, okay, Luz, thank you, we'll get to you. We don't have a lot of time tonight, but suffice it to say that if you're going to perform with a recorded accompaniment track, it's got to be good. Make sure the tempo is right, make sure it suits you, and make sure it's well played. Dr. Williams and I have heard audition recordings where the piano track sounds terrible. It wasn't well played. Sometimes it's a technical issue, and sometimes it simply just wasn't a good accompaniment track. So the things that you can control in your recorded video, your recorded audition, which you're going to upload and hit send, that's going to be very important. So make sure the track works and you perform with it well. The beauty of making these videos is it's not live. It is live, but if it doesn't come out well, delete it and try it again. Where you place your camera, the lighting, make sure the light is behind you or in front of you, on your face and not behind you. Don't stand in front of a window. That's going to be lots of glare. Choose your location very, very carefully. We're all on a Zoom call now and our face is pretty close. But if I were to do an audition, I would pull 6 or 8 feet back so that the camera could catch from my mid-calf up, so that they can see a little theatrical, a little acting. Can I take a step forward? Can I move around a little bit? The answer is yes, if the camera is far away. I could even take a few steps forward. There's very, very clever ways that you can stage, quote unquote, your arias. Are you allowed to move? Is there a rule that says, oh no, it's a recorded video, you can't move? Of course you can move. Of course you can move. Making a video is slightly different than being on Zoom, right? But it's all common sense. Use good common sense. If you submit a recording that has wrong notes, wrong rhythm, bad light, we're going to talk about attire in a minute. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Williams. A whole discussion could ensue on what to wear. But the technology is really important. Try to have a little slating technology, meaning if you have a friend or you know how to put your name, go to the blank screen, put your name and the name of the aria, and then a 2-second fade up and you perform. If you don't have the ability to do that, it's perfectly fine to introduce yourself, to say, hi, my name is Emily Wilder and I'll sing A. I'm just looking at you, Emily, so I saw your name. But another big discussion we could get into, there's not a whole lot of reason. You're sending these to professional people. You're sending these to voice teachers, coaches, if you're looking for school, or opera professionals, so you don't have to say the name of the opera and the name of the composer if it's a very standard piece. Just something to consider, because we want to get on with your singing. If you're singing Devieni non tardar, just sing, I'll sing Devieni non tardar. You don't have to say from Le Nozze di Figaro by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. You probably know all that, everybody on the screen, but just tossing that out there. The little things that you can control and to consider about the technology of what you're going to present, whether you're actually recording it something like this with a recorded track, or whether you have the ability to get into a church or a good space with a good acoustic. Test that camera angle, whether you're recording something like this with your iPhone or whether you have a slightly better camera. However you're doing your recordings, again, you might get into graduate school with that recording, or you might get into the young artist program of your dreams with that recording, or something in the middle. You might win the audition. At Alabama, we have pre-screening auditions for graduate school. We don't hear everybody based on those video recordings. Young artist programs, we don't know. This past year, those that are actually doing a season have a limited number of young artist openings, the vast majority of them. And some of them were hired just from the recording. So it's super important that you send your best work. You don't have to be a technical guru or have a degree in computer science or in lighting or in camera technology. You can have your friends help you, but make sure it looks good. And if you're not sure, send that video, show that video to your teacher, to your coach, to a friend, somebody who can say that lighting is really bad, or you got to pull the camera back farther, etc. And of course, you also want to get musical feedback and theatrical feedback. We're not just listening to you, we're watching you. So Dr. Williams, talk about what to wear, a gigantic, important question.
Sure. There again, something that you feel comfortable in, I think, is key. So, something that fits you well, something that is professional, that makes you feel put together. Something that shows us that you spent time on your appearance, and you ladies look lovely tonight. So you're already doing this very well. And so it's something that shows that you know that this is an important event, you know, that you are about to do, that you're taking a step towards your professional future, and are there presenting yourself well. I typically say, if you know, when you're doing it virtually, if like Dr. Hoteling is saying that you are with a camera view that maybe goes down, just below the knee, that may affect your decision on what length of skirt you want to wear, that kind of thing. So just kind of turn on your camera, set yourself where you think you're going to stand, and look at that and see what the proportion looks like to you, and does this look right. I typically say nothing, too tight in terms of something that might affect your breathing. Too low cut, that would be a distraction, or too short. Those are kind of the three things that could go wrong. But generally speaking, is just taking care in your appearance, is showing us your professionality. And
it's so important. I'm sorry, Dr. Williams, go ahead.
Oh, that's about all I was going to say. And in terms of heel height, that can be an issue for women in terms of making you lock your knees or not breathe as well. So go modest on that. I mean, I think heels are professional looking, and more so than flats. You can get away with flats, but even just a short heel can add a nice height and make you feel regal. But then overdoing it can sometimes make you overarch your low back and not breathe as well. So that's just something to consider as well. And for men, I know Dr. O'Donnell's a fan of a nice hard soled shoe, and he can talk more about that. Something that makes a sound when you walk into the room, and looks polished and professional.
Absolutely. So again, we're talking about a couple different things. There are still going to be auditions that are live on Zoom, just like this, and we won't see your feet most likely because nobody lives in a concert hall. But if you can do your Zoom audition in a concert hall, if you can make your recordings in a concert hall, then have the camera, have your iPhone, have your iPad far enough back where we can see your whole body. Because again, we're hiring singing actors who sing. So we do want to see your feet. So then shoes are really going to matter. All this is sort of common sense. So today, obviously, you're all in your homes. No one's in a concert hall that I can tell. When we see the four performers sing, we're probably only going to see you from the waist up or from the calf up. So that's why you want to do your best to find, if you're doing a Zoom thing from your home, if you're making a pre-screening recording, do your best to get into a church, a large room, a recital hall, a concert hall, and have that camera about 10 rows back. You can always edit and zoom in a little bit later. You don't want to be too far away, and you don't want to be singing like this where we're only seeing your face, because your characters have complete bodies. It's not just the face. We don't want the close-up. So I think all of that is common sense. And we have 4 singers. Oh, another word Dr. Williams mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, take care with your hair. If you're doing this and moving your hair around a lot, it has nothing to do with the character. It's about your lack of preparation with barrettes or hairspray or hair stuff. So don't have to flip your hair around. If you have to play with your hair between songs, between arias, then rethink and get some help. Ladies, makeup does matter, and I'm not at all trying to be sexist, but good appearance matters. Gentlemen, your grooming, the crispness of your slacks. You don't have to wear a tie, jacket, good shirt, button-up shirt. No tie is sort of the style. However, real quick word, gentlemen, if you know that a company you're auditioning for really prefers you in ties, wear the tie. But generally speaking, guys don't need to wear a tie. A jacket, good slacks, nice shoes, good pressed button-up shirt. So with that, anything else, Dr. Williams?
Well, just getting my bearings here. I mean, I see Emily and Elizabeth on here, but was the third name she said Grace?
We heard about a Grace, but Grace isn't here, so we'll have plenty of time for Luce. So we have Emily and Elizabeth. Is Elizabeth here?
Yeah.
There you are. I'm sorry. There you are. There you are, Elizabeth. Grace. Sorry, looking around. So why don't we do them in that order? I think we're ready to start to sing. And we're going to give you some musical feedback, and we're going to look at you and give you some visual feedback on these Zoom
Grace
auditions.
Is here.
Is Grace here?
Sorry, I forgot a minute ago. That's fine. That's fine.
There you are, Grace. Got it. There she is. So, Grace, you want to go? Should we go in that order? Grace, Emily, and Luce. Great. So, Grace, you know what I want to try?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to turn your camera off.
Okay.
And then I'll say, next auditioner, as if I'm letting you in the room, because that's all really a very important part of it. How you turn your camera on, how you greet yourself, how you greet us. If I speak to you, how you talk back. It's really all a part of it. We always say the audition starts when you walk in the room. Well, you may not be walking in a room anytime soon, but you might have to turn your camera on, or you will be allowed in the audition room, you know, just like you were all allowed in. So just turn your camera off, and then I'll say next auditioner, and we'll go from there, and we'll help you through that whole process of turning your camera on, stepping back, and saying your name, introducing the piece, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Great, we'll look forward to this. Next auditioner, please.
Hi, my name is Grace Sawicki, and today I'll be singing the song Johnny One Note. Johnny could only sing one note, and the note he sang was this. Ah. Poor Johnny One Note sang out with gusto and just overwhelmed all the place. Poor Johnny One Note yelled willy-nilly until he was blue in the face. For holding one note was his ace. Couldn't hear the brass or the big bass drum. He was in a class by himself, by gum. Poor Johnny One Note got in Aida, indeed a great chance to be brave. He took his one note, howled like the north wind, brought forth wind that made critics rave, while Verdi turned round in his grave. Couldn't hear the flute or the big trombone, everyone was mute, Johnny stood alone. Cats and dogs stopped yapping, lions in the zoo all were jealous of Johnny's big trill. Thunderclaps stopped clapping, traffic ceased its roar, and they tell us Niagara stood still. He stopped the train whistles, boat whistles, steam whistles, cop whistles, all whistles bowed in his skill. So sing Johnny One Note, sing out with gusto and just overwhelm all the crowd. Ah. So sing Johnny One Note out loud. Sing Johnny One Note. Sing Johnny One Note out loud.
Thanks, Grace. I'm going to start with you. Did so many things well. I couldn't see enough of your lower body, and in this sort of number, so if you ever record this as making a different video, or if you get to do this on Zoom, if you can move your camera farther back, I could tell there was energy down there, but I was sort of guessing that there was energy. And I think a little farther back will help you get be even more dazzling, because it was just a little close to the camera.
Yeah.
I love the way your voice modulates, and with the way you do this, you make this vocally your own very, very well. I'll let Dr. Williams talk more about that. For my taste, your outfit is the exact color of the wall, and we're losing you.
Oh no.
It looks like a really pretty top, but it's the exact color. And this is going to get real picky, and Dr. Williams might disagree. If you could find a background that wasn't just plain white, that had a little texture, or maybe something, a plant or something on the wall, minorly picky. Again, what I want for you, because you're so talented, is record this in a concert hall and have the camera, you know, back on row 10 kind of thing. But I liked the performance very much. You know what else I admired? I got every word. I did. I got every word, and I hope there's some heads nodding in agreement. I have you on speaker view, so I can only see a few heads. So those are some things to consider for me. I can tell you're a good performer, and I think of like Patti LuPone. You look like Patti LuPone a little bit, and I hope you take that as a compliment. I would go even farther with your energy, particularly as the camera gets away. I think you could dazzle more. This is clearly a showbiz kind of number. You don't want to belt it any more than you are. I don't want you to sing it any differently. But I think you could just create a larger picture for us that is going to grab us even more. I loved what you did. I think I would wear a different color, just so a little bit of contrast. Yes, thank you, Carl. Every word was really, really clear. So I'm going to let Dr. Williams take over now. Thank you, Carl. I see Carl up there now.
Great. Yeah, super. So I agree with Dr. Hotel. I mean, I think, yeah, just a different, I mean, or if you had a different background, that topic would be fine, you know, so it's just something that'll make you pop a little bit more. And I also feel like I think you will free yourself to use more bodily energy if you are showing us a little more. So what I felt like was happening a little bit, if I can say, was you were coming to us from the waist forward, which pitches your chest a little bit forward of your hips. And I think that you wouldn't do that as much if you were, you know, a little bit lower. And I think that's going to line you up better in terms of your connectivity. So that's when the facial expression is terrific. The variety we see is great. So all of that's terrific. And the lighting is really good on your face. So even then, if you're a little bit farther back, you can afford to show a little more length because the lighting is so good. Just a couple things in terms of just polishing the piece itself. So there a couple of times when you Johnny, that first note, sometimes like you did a little bit breathy to me. And then when you got to he, that was really anchored. So I would try, and it's the same note, right? So I would try, and I know you're singing on it, probably a little bit nervous, whatever. So, but the more you can get your breath a little bit more under you for that to have the same nice quality of clarity, I think that will help you. Same on skill, pour and spill kind of at the beginning, but then you got he and crow were really excellent in terms of that grounding. So that was great. And then the last thing, I think you were going for the that's the same kind of you were going straight tone into vibrato later on, which is terrific. I think that's practically perfect. But there again, make sure the start of it, just imagine yourself connecting really low in the abs. So that can really grow with you and stay anchored. Yeah, and same, I got all the dictionary really well. So terrific and great personality. Super.
Yeah.
Great, Grace, are you able to either step further back? I can't tell the dimension or the depth of your room. Yeah. Why don't you just start it again? Maybe just sing the first verse for a little bit and see if you can incorporate some of these things for us, Dr. Williams.
On the laptop, that you can tilt it down.
Oh, there we go.
We don't put as much blank space above your head.
That's a lot. I think that's a lot better. I'd still love to see you in a contrasting color so you don't blend in with the wall because you're too talented a performer. We don't want to lose you in the wall. But why don't you start it again? Even if you have to step forward, pressing go has become something we're used to. We see a young artist on the camera. We're used to somebody bending over and pressing go. Do it in character. I know that sounds silly. If we're still working with accompaniment tracks, and if you have a choice in it, ask your pianist or build in technically 3 or 4 seconds of silence. So you can press go, step back into your character, into your place, into your position, or hopefully you have your device that's broadcasting. Again, you want to be careful that you can hear it and that we can hear it as well. So yours was pretty good, but even if you press play and the intro starts right away, that's okay. We're used to it. Do it unapologetically in character. So why don't you just try a little bit of this, maybe not through the whole thing so we can go on to the next singer, but see if you can I know that sounds easy for me to say sitting here in Alabama, up your game a little bit. Go broader. The girl that sings this, the gal that sings this has a lot of sass. This is sort of like an over-the-top one note, over-the-top number, and we want to feel really bad for that poor Johnny one note, right?
Yeah. Okay. Johnny could only sing one note, and the note he sang was this. Ah. Poor Johnny one note sang out with gusto and just overwhelmed all the place. Poor Johnny one note yelled willy-nilly until he was blue in the face. For holding one note was his ace. Couldn't hear hear the brass or the big bass drum. He was in a class by himself, by gum. Poor Johnny one note got in Aida, indeed a great chance to be brave. He took his one note, howled like the north wind, brought forth wind that made critics rave. While Verdi turned round in his grave, couldn't hear the flute or the big trombone, everyone was mute. Johnny stood alone. Cats and dogs stopped yapping, lions in the zoo all were jealous of Johnny's big drill. Thunderclaps stopped clapping, traffic ceased its roar, and they tell us Niagara stood still. He stopped the train whistles, boat whistles, steam whistles, cop whistles, all whistles bow to his skill. So sing Johnny one note, out with gusto and just overwhelm all the crowd. Ah, so sing Johnny one note out loud. Sing Johnny one note. Sing Johnny one note out loud.
Good, Grace. I like that a lot. I think that's going in a really good direction. At the very end of it, don't feel intimidated. Don't feel inhibited about your arms. Bring them up. Bring them up. You could see the instinct. You wanted to. This is a big old brassy showbiz number, and I think a little bit of vaudeville skill, a little bit of showbiz pizzazz is going to win you a job. So if you had the instinct to move your hands, probably, and I think it's perfectly right for this golden classical era of musical theater style. Yeah, really, really good work. Really good work, Grace. It's a real pleasure to hear you. Any final comments, Dr. Williams?
Terrific. You're on a great path.
Good for you. I really love a real thick vocal thing. The word "still" at the end went into a really nice place. Did you feel that, Grace?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and then the word, like 2 measures later, the word "crowd." I don't know if you'll ever get a chance to hear this recording, but if you go back, listen to where those tipped. Listen to where that mix brought you on the I vowel, and then you were in such a good place. 2 measures later was the word "crowd." Those popped in a really good way.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, Grace. Really, really good work. So nice to hear you, and thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for all your feedback. I really appreciate it.
We enjoy it. Thank you. You're excellent. Emily, we're excited. Let's do the same thing. I'm on speaker view, and when you're ready, turn your camera off, and we'll ask for the next auditioner, and we'll just see how we experience you and how you experience this audition panel.
Okay.
Great. And we are ready for the next auditioner, please.
Hello, my name is Emily Wilder, and today I will be singing Porgi Amor from Le Note di Figaro by Mozart. Oh morir. Morir.
Nice, Emily. Gorgeous voice. I'm going to let Dr. Williams start this time. Beautiful, beautiful sound.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah, really nice. Same comments applies. We could pull you back some more to see your elegance even more. And you can see how much of the view we see above your head. I mean, if we can tilt down a little, erase some of that, and then we automatically get more. Yeah, I know you're maybe constrained by the space you're in right now. That's totally fine. The appearance is gorgeous. The hair is great. Lipstick, great. All that's really, really nice. The intensity and her anguish is all coming through very well as well. The final rolled R's are excellent. You're doing really well with that. I could use a little more brightness in the ah vowel. Okay. And I have a feeling that is due to tongue placement. So can you just do for me one of those entrances? And I want you to imagine that the back of your tongue is just a little floatier. Still give me the anguish on the face, but imagine that the back of your tongue's floating a little higher in your mouth. I know that may sound weird, but. Does that feel placed a little differently to you?
Yes.
Yes.
This do it one more time, and this time I want you to actually move the tip of your tongue around a little bit by your teeth while you're doing that, just to put some mobility in it to make sure it's not holding too still. That feels freer to me.
Yeah, that one for sure.
Yeah, so that's something to play around with. I think that'll bring your ah vowel just a little bit more forward and make it more present to us. That's just getting, sometimes it makes the O's and the ahs sound a little bit too similar. So you can play around with that, and it's just like, it's like you're on a hunt for a little more freedom in the tongue. That's how you can look at it. Qualche ristoro, make sure you get all the way to the E vowel there. Because it's a little bit shorter of a note, sometimes it can go just to the I, which is not a sound we have in Italian, so that's a dead giveaway that you're an American. So qualche ristoro, that you get all the way to that E vowel. Then a couple of things having to do with just the nuance of these sort of diphthong-ish, like mio, al mio. I think you can hang on the E a little bit longer before morphing to the O. And same at the beginning. I would go immediately to the porgiamo. Listen to the recordings and see how people finesse those divisi between those diphthongs.
Okay.
Very elegant, very lovely to hear you.
Thank you.
It was really, beautiful, wonderful comments by Dr. Williams. So I think this is going to be much stronger if you're farther back again. And on my screen, it could be the quality of your light. You're very grainy, and there's almost a haze, but I don't see on other people on this call. Again, something to think about. It could be where your light is. That's better. Whatever you just did you have a filter on?
No, my lamp is right here. So I was like, let me just.
Okay. Whatever you just did is better. So these are things you can prepare and think about well in advance, because you sing this really well. I would, even though this is somewhat still, you see this staged in many, many ways, make sure you're anchored into your lower body. You might have been a little nervous, understood, but you're adding some breaths in there that I don't think you need. So practice doing, if you're going to record this, have the camera a little farther away so we see the entirety of the Countess. This was an iconic moment in opera at the Age of the Enlightenment. The curtain goes up on Act 2, and there's the Countess, and she's sad. What? Oh my God! You do it beautifully, and the empathy is really pouring forth. But sew up some of those breaths. I think that will really help you. I think if you think of the Countess as in a full body approach, I'm not talking about tension or voguing or anything, but if the camera pulls back, you'll know that we're seeing you from the waist down. and with an energized, elegant, regal presence. And that will allow you through the countess, through the character, to stay just a slightly more connected all the time to the spin of your air and to your sound. And you'll spin all the way through to those phrases. I know you can do it because you're so close. Nerves get in the way sometimes and we have to breathe. But make sure if you do breathe, you're not actually adding a full quarter note rest. Like, amen, morir. At the end, it's not men, morir. So really, really lovely, though. And again, I would urge you to maybe find a background that had a little depth in it, because it just is easier for us to watch rather than the plain thing. And if you're slating this for graduate school or for young artist program, again, no need to tell us what it's from. If you say, I'm Grace Wilder and I'll sing Porgi Amor, we all know. And if you're sending this out to somebody who doesn't know what Porgi Amor is from, you probably don't want to work for them anyway. I'm kidding, of course, but you know what I'm saying? Because we want to get right on to your beautiful singing. Well done. I hope these comments were helpful to you. It's a real pleasure to hear you. Really good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Of course. And so now we go on to Elizabeth. And Elizabeth will do the same exact thing. I'm going to go back to gallery view, and there we are. Oh, good. You're already off. Good. Your camera's off. And now we are ready for the next auditioner, please.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Gilarovich, and I will be performing an aria called In Uomini Insondati. In uomini insoldati, sperare fedeltà.
Nice job, Elizabeth. I love you in this character. I would hire you in a heartbeat. I'm going to be really picky with you. You had the opposite issue. I love that dress. I think it's classy and cool. It reminds me of I Love Lucy and Lucille Ball, but it's a lot with the background. So what I would wish for you is to move that camera so you're more in front of the window. You got a nice plant, a chair, beautiful window treatments, so we don't get all of the stuff on the television and on the mantle, the TV is actually throwing a glare, and it's actually a little bit distracting to you. So if you were just to move your camera, yes, something like that, that's actually a lot better, I think. A minor, I think that's much better. Then then we see more of the dress. Can you back up even farther?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Just a matter of the computer.
Sure. Right there. I think that's stronger. It gets the mantle, gets the TV out of there, it gets the modern. Now you look like you're actually on a set. This could be a cozy set. It could be, Fioreligi and Dorabella's living room. I really think this is very, very charming. That was my one comment on watch where this camera is. I love the dress. I love the outfit. I love the energy and the spunk. And you know what else I really admired about this? Is it looked like you were talking to two people, which is not always easy to do. This is an aria for three. You're talking to both of the sisters, and I really got that. Was that planned? Are you thinking about that? You clearly know what this is about and what's going on.
Yeah, I do know that, yeah.
Good for you. Real quick, I know English is your second language, and I can tell you do very, very well, and your Italian is good. When you introduce it, no need to say this is an aria called. Just say, I'll sing in soldati, in uomini in soldati. That's it. Just a little change that verb on you. I really like this, and I love where you are standing. I love the look. Really well done. Good for you. Dr. Williams.
Yes, excellent. I would echo a lot of what Dr. Hotelling says, and this makes a big difference right here. You could even explore going farther over in the rim and just doing the window in the one case. I mean, this looks great though right here, and I love the pop of color on the dress, and that the hair is pulled back from your face. All the facial expressions are terrific. I think continuing on to think about this Mozart, even though she's so feisty and has great personality, that you keep thinking about the legato through this, that you keep singing right through those lines, because sometimes with these, very syllabic sort of eighth note pronunciations, it can get a little too chopped up for us. So I think that will continue to add to the beauty of your line if you can continue to listen for that and think for that you just hear your vibrancy going all the way through. Also, I liked, when you kind of did this la, 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 and then when the little interlude comes along in the accompaniment, do something there too, because that would be a nice place to either reiterate what you did or do something a little different, or go a little more over the top with that movement at that moment, since you're not singing at that point in time. How do you feel about the high note at the end?
It is scary to take. It's quite a challenge for me actually with this aria, but I'm working on it.
It's challenging. Mozart is very challenging, and you're doing very well. So I don't know, you want to do it just the high note one more time and just see. I know that's maybe scary a cappella, but I'm just see if there's anything I can help you with.
Yeah, of course.
From there, I won't. Great. That's already better to me. Maybe because you had a little more time to breathe. So whatever you can do to get off of the phrase prior to that a little early to get the inhalation started will help you. And then it's a matter, I would play around a little bit, moving some with this, just to try to loosen yourself up and see, because a lot of times we will seize up in front of that hard moment, and then our body locks up on us a little bit. And I think that might help encourage you to get a little vibrato in that note, and it'll be even better.
I was going to say the same thing. And if I were I've staged this a lot to help out the soprano. I have her moving from one sister to another, going back and forth to keep the hips open, to keep the body free, to help out that last phrase. And usually the artists I work with thank me for that, rather than being still, move to one sister and then move to the other sister and then come back center, because it's your aria after all. But I think we have to move on because we do have the fourth singer. But Elizabeth, very, very good work. This is a good aria and a good role for you. And we hope we've offered you some helpful comments.
Yeah, thank you so much for your feedback. I enjoyed performing for you tonight.
Thank you, Elizabeth, of course. Okay, Luce, we have time for you, and you change your number. Are you there? Luce, are you there? Good, good. We're ready for you. Next auditioner, please. Hi, what would you like to sing? Luce, can you hear us? These things happen. We suddenly can't hear you, Luce. Can you hear me? Okay, we can't hear you.
It doesn't say you're on mute, so that's good, but I don't know.
Yeah. While you're working on that, Luce, since we're running short on time, does anybody on the screen have any questions? Let's not do the chat. Raise your hand if you have a question. We've gotten lots of compliments for the singers in the chat. Does anybody have a question or a thought or an idea about the things we've talked about tonight, about this online combination of hybrid online auditions or submitting a video recording, which are similar but a little different? Carl, yes, Mr. Young.
As you can see, I have microphones.
Great.
I have external microphones, and I use a mixer to get my my audio into the computer. How is that viewed? I know some people are saying, no, you can't do that. And there's other people who are saying, no, please, God, that sounds great.
Everybody does it. Everybody does it. I mean, if you have we don't expect it. I think the young artist programs would tell you, and I run one as well. We don't expect young singers to have thousands of dollars worth of equipment. It still has to sound reasonably good. It still has to be a good representation of the way the young person sings. But oh no, if you're doing a recording now, singing something live on Zoom, that's one thing. But if you're making an audition recording that you're going to upload on Yap Tracker, upload, by all means. That's not editing. We don't want it edited. But if you have good sound, good microphone, and you're putting it into a mixer, that just enhances the sound.
Right. I figured as long as it's clean, as long as I'm not doing any reverb or
Absolutely. I think most people would welcome that because it's a good sound. It's going to make a clearer, better recording. Absolutely. The thing we want to avoid is having anything sound overly edited or lots of post-production. That we need to avoid. But that's a good question. If the way you sound right now, I can tell the way you're talking right now is nice and clear.
Yeah, the Sennheiser 965 through a mixing board. So
great. You know what you're doing. That's terrific.
Yeah, professional.
Emily, question.
Yes, I was just wondering, so I'm about to be a senior in college, and I always wonder, like with auditioning for grad schools, is there any preference on, or I'm trying to think how to word this, annoyance, I guess, on pieces that are overdone, or does it matter?
Look at Dr. Williams and I both shaking our head. Sing what you sing well. And if it's an aria that everyone else sings, so what? If you love it and you sing it well, do it. There's no such thing as a piece that's overdone. I mean, I'd rather, like Dr. Williams said, I'd rather hear Caro Mio Ben sung beautifully than something, not. So no, don't be afraid of that. Oh, everyone sings this, I better sing something else. Quite the contrary. Sing what you sing well, and then we'll see that. We'll see that you love it. We'll see that it's in your body and in your voice, and it'll be a much more successful audition. Is Allie still on the call? Yes, she is. It looks like we only have about 2 minutes left, so poor Luce had sound issues, and Nick wanted to sing. Allie, how are we doing?
We can go over about 10 or 15 minutes if we need or want. So we're
okay. Good. All right. Let's see where Luce is. Nick, stand by. If we can get 2 in, we will. If that's okay. Luce, how's your sound coming? Okay, let's go to Nick. We still can't hear you, Luce. Nick, are you ready to go?
Yep.
Great. Next auditioner, please, Mr. Hausman.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Hausman, and today I'll be singing Das erste Veilchen from Mendelssohn's 6 Lieder, Opus 19a. erblickt. Wie war ich von Farben und Duft entzückt, die Boten des Glänzers trägt ich voll Lust an meiner schwellende, offene Brust. Die Boten des Glänzers trägt ich voll Lust an meine schwellende, offene Brust. Der Lenz ist vorüber, das Veilchen ist tot. Das Veilchen ist tot, rings den Blumen, blau und rot. Ich stehe inmitten und sehe sie kaum. Ich stehe inmitten und sehe sie kaum. Das Veilchen mir scheint mir im Frühlingstraum. Das Veilchen mir scheint mir im Frühlingstraum.
Hey, Nick, bravo. I want to tell you, you are one of the most impressive young sophomores. I happen to know you because you met us last month that we've heard in a long, long time. Just real fast, God, you sing well. You are a really nicely put together young musical package. I would get used to singing without glasses because I can tell how expressive you are. So get yourself a pair of contact lenses. I know you weren't expecting to sing today, perhaps. But even if there's a chance that you're going to sing, have that jacket and shirt and not the polo shirt. One of my favorite colors. But, just the simple little things you're going to think about because you're going to go places. Before I turn it over to Dr. Williams, this was beautifully done. I think you're ready, even at your young age. Again, those of you on the call, he was on our call a month ago. That's how we got to know Nick from SUNY Potsdam. Go for a deeper legato. Pay attention to how you're connecting from one word, one phrase, one syllable. I think you would even be more impressively expressive if you kept your fingers on the bow. I'm doing a little cello imagery now. Go for a deeper, longer, more romantic line. It's right there. You're so close to it, but really nicely done. Being really, really picky. Even if an art song you wouldn't use for a young artist program, this would be an excellent choice for your grad school auditions. No need to give us the opus number and all that. It's too fussy. Just say the name of the song and by Mendelssohn. If you're asked, what else do you have, that sort of thing. So you no need to fuss with the opus numbers and all of that. As impressive as it is that you knew exactly where this came from, because I can tell you're a smart and learned musician.
I only know the difference because if you look up Mendelssohn's Sixth Leader, you're going to find two different sets. So that's why I was a little bit more specific.
Good. Okay, great. It depends. Usually in graduate school auditions, we're going to have a chatty thing and we'll say, let's hear the Mendelssohn, please. Or if you start out, could be a good conversation piece. Just something to consider. A very, very minor point. Dr. Williams.
Terrific. I agree with everything Dr. Hoteling said. I think the German is coming really well. It's real crisp and we got a lot of the consonants. So that's going really terrifically. I think your desire to communicate is very strong and that reads really well to us. So that's going really well. Just watch that does not carry you a little bit forward this way. So just keep imagining, I don't know, if you look at me profile and I'm going here, instead I want, what I'm doing with my face to bring the watchers into me. So just keep imagining yourself a little bit lengthened back here and making sure that that's free, in the back of your neck. Think regal, think tall, but let your face still do what it's doing, so just try to divorce those two those two aspects just a little bit, and I think that will free you up even more to let your voice be even aligned a little bit better. It's going great. You're doing everything great.
It's really good work, Nick. And I want to tell you, I have your name on a purple sticky right here that's been on my desk since the last Classical Singer Expo when we chatted. Really nice to hear you. I'm glad we had the opportunity. You're clearly a very expressive and very sophisticated young artist. Keep doing what you're doing because you're doing it well. But even if you're trying to sing someplace, always have that jacket and a shirt, a button-down shirt with you, and see if you can get some contact lenses because they will open up your face for even greater expressivity. So good for you. Luz, can we hear you now? No, we still can't.
Yes, do you hear me?
Oh, now we can. Okay.
Okay. I restarted the computer.
We just have a couple more minutes because we want to make sure we're cleared out because there's an event that that hopefully you can go to at 9 o'clock Eastern time. So sing for us.
Okay. I will present Nisi Dominus by Nisi Dominus from Vivaldi.
Yes, great, good.
Nisi, nisi Dominus, deficat peridomum, deficat peridomum. In manum laborat in manum laborat verum, quae edificat eum. Nisi, nisi Dominus custodem precipitatem frustra vigilat. Qui custodit, qui custodit, qui custodit, qui custodit eam. Nisi, nisi Dominus, deficat peridomum. Nisi, nisi Dominus custodit precipitatem. In manum laborat frustra vigilat et custodit, qui custodit eam. Okay.
Good, Luz. Good. So good. I'm glad we got to hear you. I'm going to have Dr. Williams talk about some vowel clarity because Latin needs to sound a little more like Italian. So a lot of your vowel sounds are getting a little too muted, and they all sort of mush together a little bit. You can move your voice. This is a really good aria for you. I would not work with the shawl. It became a little bit of a prop for you, and we want to be careful to distinguish this as an oratorio aria unless you're hired to fully stage it sometime. But I would not perform with the shawl. I think it looks like you have a really pretty dress on. That's going to be a stronger look. We're also used to hearing this repertoire with a book in the hand. I so admire that you're memorized, but I think it might even be stronger if you had the book and you just held it down. That would keep your hands inactive, and you could still sing to the camera or sing to your adjudicators or sing to your audience or sing to the people that are going to hire you, but we're not used to having this it's fine, but I think it might. I want you to try experimenting with doing this just the way you did it, but have the book in your hand and turn the pages only you're not staring at it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
But you can really move. You can really move your voice. This is a good aria for you. And I think I'm going to ask Dr. Williams to help you with some vowel clarity. Your ahs are very rounded. Everything is overly rounded, just a touch. What is your native language, Luce?
Spanish.
Okay, there you go. I think it's probably. I think you making your Latin a little more Italianate Church Latin. That will help a great deal. So it was nice to hear, Dr. Williams. Dr. Williams.
It's beautiful, and you have a lovely richness and a lovely warmth, and the color tour is very accurate and very lovely. I agree about the shawl. I mean, if you felt like you really wanted to keep it, you could tie it maybe behind your back so that it frees up your arms. But I think holding the book would be perfectly acceptable, or even a good choice as well. So that's good. And you might consider with the glasses too, getting some contact lenses if that's an option for you. In terms of vowels, I mean, just continuing to explore, how bright the ahs can be, similar to what I was telling Emily earlier. Just getting a little more freedom, perhaps in the tongue, and so that can open a little bit more to contrast the two. But otherwise, and also, I don't know if you're if you hear, that your voice is warm and rich, and which it very much is, sometimes we can have a tendency to maybe overdo that a little bit by manipulating a little bit. So just keep going for the freedom aspect of it, so that it feels like it's really coming forward. Beautiful.
Another comment, Luce. Particularly Baroque arias are so easy to cut the intro. You've had a very, very long intro, and if you're going to record or make a video, even with a live pianist or with this pre-recorded track, I would try to cut that intro down. It usually works to start with the first two measures and then jump over to two measures before you come in. They usually work out harmonically. So it was just a little bit long on the intro, and we do have the option to do that in these types of pieces, because remember, it's your audition, and particularly if you're working with a canned track, shorten that intro, and I think it will serve you much better. But it was very, very nice to hear you. It is a beautiful sound, and it's always nice to hear oratorio. Find yourself some conductors to sing for. Oratorio auditions are very different beasts. They're very different animals. There are no entrees for young artists into oratorio other than to try to get yourself some engagements. Reach out to local conductors, send them recordings by email, have them on your website, all of that. So very good choice for you. Good work with oratorio. I think everybody on the screen should try to have a Bach aria or a Handel oratorio piece ready to go, or a Messiah aria, because you can make lots of money singing oratorio. So I know Ali's on the screen. She's probably looking at her watch. We've gone over time, and Dr. Williams and I have been very, very pleased that you were all here. Thank you for your time. You can reach us at the University of Alabama. Very easy to find. I'm P. Hotailing at ua.edu, and Dr. Williams is S.E. Williams7 at ua.edu. Just Google us on our website at the University of Alabama. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, everybody. We've enjoyed this very, very much. Always a wonderful privilege for us to hear young singers. Dr. Williams, any parting comments?
Send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. It's great to hear you all. Good
we
work.
Sure would. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Carl. Nick, great to hear you, Betty. I'm glad you came back on to sing for us.
Thank you so much.
Ali, thank you very much. Thanks to everybody at Classical Singer. Go on to the next event now and really soak all this up. Get the feedback and take it and run, and go out and have great careers, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody, for joining. Hopefully we can see each other soon.
Bye. I'll look forward to it, Ali. Tell your dad hi once again.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Williams.